Everything you've been told about the Manusmriti is a big fat lie, and here's the neutral reality. You're watching episode number 4 of our series Manusmriti Decoded, and today we're finally uncovering its verses on women. Before we start quoting them, two important disclaimers. Firstly, after reading the text through and through, the unfortunate but harsh reality is that it does not view all classes of the society as equal, but it does reward everybody equally with the same merit and reward of moksha for following the concept of swadharma, one's prescribed duties and responsibilities. The Manusmriti has always simply been a manual on dharma aimed at the varga or class of society that has the heavy responsibility of protecting it, which are the Brahmins. So you need to look at it with that mindset and leave it at that, which brings us to point 2. In Hindu timekeeping, we have 14 manvantras in a period called as kalpa. Each manvantara is 300 million human years long, and our Manusmriti was written in the first manvantara by Swayambhu Manu, and we are in the 7th one now, which means billions of human years have passed. So take the verses that are relevant to us and show us what's proper, and disregard the rest in this Kali Yuga. It's as simple as that. As a Sanatani, you have the privilege to take what's good from the Dharma Shastras and disregard the verses that are not aligned with our modern understanding, not following them as compulsory commandments of gods. By the way, no other faith based on books allows you that freedom, which also means as a modern Hindu, you have to understand that the moment a Manusmriti is invoked in debates, it's deliberately done to blanket blame and shame our Sanatan Dharma. Take the responsibility of how some of the uncomfortable verses were misused to oppress and persecute people, but do not put the entirety of the social evil blame on the scripture itself. Because as long as the overall intent of the scripture is to guide people towards spiritual moksha, which I can confirm Manusmriti's intention is, then we shouldn't be getting into the nitty-gritties of the verses, which brings us to its overall intent with women. On that point, verse 3.56 clearly states that where women are honored, there the gods rejoice. Where, on the other hand, they are not honored, their all rights are fruitless. The next verses tell men to pamper their women, because if they are dishonored, the entire family falls down. Where is the sexism? Verse 9.28 states offspring, religious acts, faithful service, highest happiness. All this is dependent on the wife, and also the attainment of heaven by oneself, as well as by his forefathers. Verse 9.95 states the husband obtains the wife as a present from the gods. Hence, he should always support the faithful wife, thereby doing what is agreeable to the god. Additionally, 2.145 discusses the importance of people in life and places the mother on top of the table above the father and teacher. On violence and consent, verse 8.364 clearly states that a man who has sexually violated an unwilling woman has to be put to the death immediately. Verse 8.367 says that any man who defiles a maiden through sheer audacity, his fingers should be chopped off. On property, Manusmriti recognizes Tridana, the wife's independent property and her economic sphere. Does the Manusmriti recognize the woman through the same lens of rights, responsibilities, and functions as men? Unfortunately, for our liberal understanding today, no. But does it allow for the dishonor and disrespect of women? Also no. So let's get to the controversial verses on the age of marriage and other things in the next episode.